Hello and welcome to IGN Overclocked, episode number 14 for real this time. I think we said 14 last week. Whatever, we're here now. Number 14. My name is Mitch Dyer, joined as always by Dan Stapleton.
I like to play games on the PC.
Me too. Two new boys joining this week. Brendan Terrell.
I'm a new boy.
He's a new boy, joined also by new boy number 2, Vincent Janita.
I'm just a little boy.
Aw. Vince, you reviewed Hard West this week.
I did.
That's a game I was really looking forward to, and read your review, and I'm like, all right. I'm glad this game is good. It really could have gone either way.
Wait, you mean you just turned into Matthew McConaughey? all right.
You mean you didn't immediately scroll down to the bottom, see a 7.3, and say this game is horrible?
It's
I'll never
awful.
play it.
Yeah. I was disappointed. Only pretty good.
Only pretty good.
Is Hard West? So my cheap question for you. XCOM 2 got delayed this year.
Yes.
Into next year. Is this a decent replacement for XCOM 2?
So. No, but yes, and I'll
in that there's nothing else.
So here's the thing:
Yeah.
if you have a turn-based tactics itch that you want to scratch, absolutely Hard West will scratch that itch pretty well for you. It's entirely solid in that way. The problem is if you're looking for something that's as unforgivingly tactical, then Hard West doesn't necessarily pull that off because
Really?
Yeah. So it seems like in the first 20 minutes, it feels like it's totally going to. They're introducing how certain guns have a sweet spot range, like a big rifle will have amazing range from super amazing accuracy from super long range, but then as you get closer, it gets worse. Or some guns will have a sweet spot in the mid range, but on either side, there's kind of a dead spot where they're not as good. And then you have penetration, profiles where almost every gun will penetrate cloth, but in half cover, this gun will do full damage, whereas another one might only do a fraction of its damage. All this cool.
So lots of cool stuff to think about.
Lots of cool stuff to think about.
Almost every gun will penetrate cloth?
Yeah, right. That caught my ear too.
Do they have Nerf guns in this game?
I don't know why I said almost. Every gun will penetrate cloth. Will penetrate cloth cover. So there's all those really neat elements, and then you can take environmental elements and turn them into cover, which I think is really neat.
I saw you flipping over tables. That was pretty awesome.
You can lift open lids on wells and stuff like that too.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool in that sense, and I love how there's every gun has its own distinct ammunition amount. So a sniper rifle, a big elephant gun, is literally one round and then you reload. Fanning the hammer, abilities like that will take 3 rounds out of a 6-shot revolver. I love all these details and how you have to think about all of them all the time. But then they introduce all these admittedly cool and fun but crazy supernatural abilities Shadow Strike, where it's any enemy anywhere near you that's indoors and not in direct sunlight, you can just deal 8 damage to, which is the most hardy enemy in the game will have 10. That's the rarest type of enemy. So 8 damage legitimately is going to kill any humanoid. So it's I just get to kill him because he's in the shade. It costs a resource. It's not like you can do it infinitely, but abilities like that, golden bullet, it's a shot that has infinite range, 100% accuracy.
What you're describing is awful Hearthstone cards.
Yeah, exactly.
The worst cards in Hearthstone.
That's exactly what it is, and it's are the abilities fun to use? Yeah, and they're tied to a resource that you have to manage, so it's not like it breaks the game, but it definitely makes it so that you have to think a lot less about that whole my positioning has to be perfect, and I have to take my turns in the perfect order, and I have to make sure my guys are moving in staggered formations and covering each other. It's more hey, I'll run this guy out in the middle of nowhere, and if some dude appears that's going to be a threat next turn, I'll just have the guy on the other side of the map pull out his rifle, use golden gun to pick him off through 3 walls, and it'll be fine. So it's a little bit more over the top and crazy and out there, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It's fun and enjoyable, but in a different way than XCOM is.
So how much of the challenge is tied to the difficulty level? Because for me, XCOM is it's good on normal, but when you turn it up to classic, then it gets really interesting, and even higher than classic is just insane. The impossible mode is kind of no fun for me.
Right, does this have an Iron Man sort of?
It does.
Okay.
It does have Iron Man. So its version of Iron Man is a little bit different from So XCOM Iron Man means that you get one save and you can't reset or save scum. In this, Iron Man means that if one of so there's several different campaigns in Hard West, and everyone has usually 1 to 3 primary important characters. That if they die, that particular mission is you fail and you have to redo that mission. That's always the case. And then there's other ancillary characters that are just throwaways. In Iron Man, in Hard West, if one of those main characters dies, your campaign is over.
That's awesome.
It's literally like a hardcore. It's like hardcore in Diablo. Like you die once and that's it. It's start the entire game from
So that's
scratch.
what I played when I played the game. I played a demo at PAX, and like the Hard West was sold to me as everything you're describing as the Iron Man. Is that the way to play?
I think that I think it is the way to play only because I found that even if you turn up the difficulty a little bit, like utilizing those powers properly, like really leveraging those powers and building around that makes it a little bit too easy to kind of overlook the technical depth of the game. So yeah, I would say that probably is the way to play it.
So how much randomization is there involved? Because one of the things that keeps me playing XCOM so long is that the maps are at least somewhat randomized. Like there's a big pool of maps, and the placement of enemies are randomized. So it's not super predictable.
So that's one of the weak points kind of Hard West in a way, is that like these campaigns tell a very set story. They're not like it's not like XCOM where you're like, hey, you are this organization of alien hunters who are going to save the Earth. Go do that however you do that. This is very much like each of these campaigns have an interlocking storyline about a family that is on its way to the Oregon Trail, and then kind of tragedy befalls them, and it creates this domino effect of different events that take place. So since they tell a very specific story that happened in very specific places, the maps are always the same every time you play them.
The variable is like the skills you bring into it, so you can like. You can go into a map having like poison the well, so enemies are a little weaker when you arrive.
Right.
Exactly.
Or you can go in with like the ricochet gun to like deflect shots off of walls and.
But
things
are
like
the enemy placements the same every time?
Enemy placements are the same.
That's a little
So
disappointing.
you can definitely solve this game.
Yeah, you can absolutely. Yeah, you can totally be like, all right, like this. Like so, when I captured for review, I replayed like the first mission of a couple of the different campaigns, a few of the different campaigns that I did.
Cakewalk all over everybody.
And I did because I knew exactly where everyone was going to be. I'm like, all right, so at the start, there's that cluster of 3 people right in front of the insane asylum. I'm going to have a guy with a shotgun walk right up and use cone blast on them because it's just going to wipe them all out at the same time.
And that's like one of the main problems with like Fallout Tactics, going way back to that, is that all the placements are exactly the same. So once you play through the campaign once or twice, it's like, oh, okay, I'm done with that.
It sounds like even in Iron Man mode, right? Like you could theory craft your way through a level.
Sure.
Like if you pulled out a pen and a piece of paper, you knew exactly what you need for every encounter
and the weapons that people
turn.
have and where they're going to be and
like,
how they're going to respond.
I need these skills and I need 12 turns to beat this.
Yeah. The only variable, like Mitch was saying, is that even though the overworld like map stuff is a little bit thin and limited, like it's not as significant as I kind of hoped it would be, or they kind of sold it as, but there are still decisions that you can make in certain little side explorable areas that can add some interesting new variables to the to the battle. Like he was saying, for instance, so a good early example is after you fend off some bandits who are coming to raid your house in the first major encounter in the game, your father turns to you and says, hey, like, what do you think? I want you to be a man and make this decision. I want to bring you into decision making in this family, but like, do you think we should install an escape tunnel out of the basement of the house? And you get to make that decision of spending $200, which is a huge amount of money in this game. It's a very large amount of resources. Should you spend the $200 and build that tunnel, or should you not? You don't know if it's going to play into anything. Well, a few encounters later, bandits attack again while you guys are out. And then it's like, if you didn't build the escape tunnel, you have to try to fight your way towards the house from the outside, and then it's like the bandits have kind of the high ground on the cover and you're fighting into them. And if you did build that, then you took that secret passage to the inside, and now you are on the inside of that of your house, and the enemies are coming to you, and you have high ground and cover.
So there's some replayability in that. Then like that is kind of, I don't know if it's changing the position of the guys, but it's changing the position, your starting position.
Yes, exactly. It changes your starting position at least, and it gives you a different. So it's
like
a
where
different set
they
of
would
problems
go
to
to
solve.
cover and stuff like that.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So it sounds like this is like, if you're going to compare it to XCOM, like it's not nearly as substantial or replayable as XCOM, especially what XCOM 2 is planning to do. Is the fully randomized maps, which I'm really looking forward to.
Super exciting.
Procedurally generated, yeah.
Yep.
So it's a good game to scratch the itch if you have it.
Absolutely.
Until
the big boy comes. But
the big itch scratcher.
But the real cool thing about
a huge barrier to entry as far as like a $60 price tag goes, those have suffered in the past. So I'm not super worried about it for Overwatch, because Blizzard is Blizzard, and everyone is going to buy a Blizzard game. So I think this one will be okay, but just really really strange considering the game and
Yeah.
sort of the emergence of the hero shooter being what it is alongside MOBAs.
It's also just in like a weird place right now where it's like, okay, if you look at Overwatch as it is right now with the amount of characters it has, the amount of maps it has,
21.
for like $40 or whatever it's going to be at minimum cost, that's pretty good. You're going to get a decent game in there.
Yeah, and like if anyone doubts the marketing power of Blizzard to and its loyal fan base, and it was Legacy of the Void sold over 1 million copies coming out the same day as Fallout.
Yeah.
like
In
that,
24 hours.
Yeah, that's madness.
Yeah,
Like
I mean their install
actually
base
pulled that
is
off.
there for sure.
Yeah, I'm surprised they were able to pull that off. I'm very impressed and pleased that they did.
Me too.
I don't. You don't know for sure if they'll be able to transfer that kind of thing over to Overwatch. Probably not because it's not StarCraft.
Yeah, and that's the
But
thing that
it could still be a big success.
that's where it becomes an issue is like if you are playing Overwatch and you're fine with just the base game and they start selling new maps and new heroes and new whatever on top of this $40 game, then that's going to start fracturing the player base. It's going to make people feel like it's not fair anymore, like it's not a level playing field, and that's where it starts to get a little bit sticky for me.
Yeah,
I totally agree.
That's kind of an interesting thing. It's totally true, and that's why like totally different area. But Street Fighter V is such an interesting new way to kind of do that, where they're like, yeah, there is going to be a base model that you pay for, but then we're going to keep adding to that, and then you can totally just earn that. All the new characters in Street Fighter V are just going to be like, yeah, you can purchase them for like in IRL money, but like you can also just earn them. So I wonder if Blizzard will adopt that kind of thing, like kind of an in between where you can do one or the other, which is not a totally unheard of model. I mean, that's what League of Legends does currently.
Yeah, but League is not pay out of the gate, right?
Most of the MOBAs are, and that's the thing is like when they're free to play, that in-game earned currency thing works perfectly because then all you're really doing is spending real money on time.
Right.
Like how many matches do I want to play to unlock, this new fighter versus do I want to just drop $5 now?
But when they add that to a $60
To an already
game,
price tag.
that raises some ire because I mean for me, I look at something like that where it's like, oh, you have to grind for a long time to earn this thing. It's like rather than creating a progression system that feels good to do, you're creating a progression system that feels bad to do so that I will pay to bypass it.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like there is a progression sense there, but it's so slow. It's frustratingly slow.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking towards Overwatch's progression, we're all in the beta. I played it before it was the beta. I went down in Anaheim, and I haven't seen one lick of in-game sort of progression as far as a currency is based, as far as points.
No.
And granted, it is still beta.
Sure,
and
they
that
could
stuff
definitely
be
add
coming,
that system, but right
it-
now they seem confident in what they have as a base game, and obviously like skins are coming, so maybe you'll be able to unlock skins with enough playtime or hours or kills or currency or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really do wonder about hero editions.
And
To clarify, I haven't been playing. I've been playing StarCraft. But carry on.
Good point.
Holding up the other Blizzard pillar. And that's the thing, too, is adding new characters and new maps and new modes. That's sort of almost the lifeblood of these multiplayer-centric
Of
games.
any competitive game.
Yeah, because you can only play by the same rules so many times with the same pieces and the same cogs before you have to change it up and before you have to add new elements and strategy and shift the meta a little bit. So, it would stand to reason that they're going to add new heroes. They're going to add probably by the end of the year at least a couple new heroes in order to keep it going. It's coming out in spring. I would imagine by the end of 2016 you're going to see a much larger hero pool than they launched with. But do they charge more for it right out of the gate? Do they just sell them in expansion packs? Because then you have to remember as well, the consoles are going to have the same exact heroes as the PC on day one, and those are going to be separate ecosystems. So if you're going to try to keep things in parity, or jilt one platform against the other.
Also, like when Blizzard starts supporting the competitive scene and focuses almost entirely on PC, how does that affect the console version? Like Team Fortress 2, where it gets a little bit left behind. It's interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, this is a game I want to be playing for a really, really long time.
Me too.
I'm so in love with this game.
And that's the thing. So like, all the logistics are out of the way. Like Overwatch is just a blast.
Super
isn't it?
fun. Yeah,
it's
I have
fun.
some pretty considerable problems with the way the levels are designed.
Yeah, I do too.
They seem to funnel into one choke point with a couple ways to get around on the left and the right, and that's it every map. But I don't care, man. Like, I'm having a good time every time. Like, I love playing as these heroes.
Every
I love
single
their
hero
skills.
feels like it's got maybe not a role, but a way to seriously impact whatever's happening.
There's some dudes
at
like
the
I don't
time.
want to play as the roller skating DJ, but I'm glad when he's on my
rad.
team.
Yeah, you
like
should.
I like having him. I just don't want to play him.
So Mitch, put it head to head. Is it better than Battlefront?
Battlefront?
Yeah.
I don't even know how these games are comparable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They are games that you point the thing at people and pull the trigger and shoot them till they're dead.
I pick Far Cry 2.
Settled.
Nice. Yeah, Overwatch is a blast, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that game changes once everybody gets in.
Yeah, they've been doing really slow beta
Yeah,
roll-ins.
the waves have been so slow.
Yeah.
But the beta test weekend is coming up, I think, Friday.
Yep, this week.
This Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there's going to be a ton more people in there. So if y'all are bored and you just want to beat some people up, this weekend is definitely the place to do it.
It's nice that it's an actual beta and not a marketing beta.
Yep.
Like it's still far enough out that they can probably.
Blizz
make
is so good at that, about
Yeah.
doing betas that are like, it'll be a beta until it's out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even with Heroes, they're like, I asked him, I interviewed Jeff Kaplan, who's the director on it, and I asked him how long is the beta going to be. He's like, well, look at sort of the timeline of other Blizzard games. And I was like, well, Heroes of the Storm was in beta for like a year before it launched.
I think StarCraft 2 is in beta for a year or more.
I think we're going to see Overwatch be in sort of a beta that gets progressively bigger up until spring of 2016 when it just launches. But you're totally right about it not being a marketing thing, and that is one thing they specifically said is this is not a marketing beta.
Yep.
We are actively taking design decisions from basically anyone. Like if you write it on a napkin and throw it at someone with a Blizzard t-shirt on, they're going to take it and consider it.
That's really interesting because usually they developers will actively warn you away from doing it. They'll treat it like poison when somebody suggests an idea to them because they're like, if we use this, we could get sued. So it's
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I wonder if that's because there's a difference between like feedback and critical suggestion
Ideation,
versus creative input sort of thing. Like, I don't know. Maybe they could probably legally fall back on like, well, we were already considering this, as you can see in these 35 email threads,
Yeah.
and now we're deciding to implement it.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, but it's a touchy subject where somebody
Yeah.
could say, "Oh, you took my idea. I demand compensation for that."
It's
Yeah.
been going on for so long, though, right? Like,
I mean,
everyone's got forums full of feedback for various betas throughout the years.
Yeah,
and
I
it
mean,
could be-
this game's been in design for 4
Right.
years now.
Yeah.
But
so.
it could be that Blizzard's legal team just has a different way of thinking about it now, and
Sure.
maybe they
Well,
think it's totally defensible.
I'm sure they have a very good legal team.
But they've had legal teams for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a new legal team. Maybe they just changed.
Hey,
their
that's the
mind.
legal strike team that won them the name Overwatch.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah,
They do good work. Their track record.
couldn't stop Valve from using Dota, though, could they?
Oh, that was so good. Where they're just like, nah, man, Dota's not an acronym. It's just a word. What does it mean? Nothing.
Nothing.
It's just there. Dota's just a word now. It's not all caps. It's not intercat. It's just a word.
Yeah, remember Blizzard All Stars?
Yeah.
Remember Scrolls?
Oh, God. Did that ever come out?
Yeah.
It did,
came
right?
out,
And it was like, okay.
I reviewed it. I reviewed it.
You-
Yeah. I reviewed it.
I reviewed
It was
it.
the second to last thing I reviewed as a freelancer before I came on board, and it was a very mediocre card game.
That's disappointing. I feel like didn't. oh, man.
Mediocre is too hard. It was good. It was solid good.
What was the card game that like the ex-Bioshock guys worked on that finally came out this year? Card Hunter?
I think that sounds right.
Oh,
I think that finally
by
came out
Blue,
this year.
Blue Manchu.
Yep.
It might have
That
been
came
last
out
year.
Oh no, that came out last year or 2 years ago, but they just like changed it now. It used to be like a card game and
a
sort
tabletop
of
thing.
turn-based thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I think it's just straight up like hardcore TGC.
Okay. I haven't
It's
checked it out.
what-
I should go back and check it out.
Yeah, I really, really liked it when I played it. I wrote a guide for it and everything. It was like
Wow.
it was really in depth and sort of there's a lot of tactics to it. I don't know what this new offering is though, but
Did you write the guide just for work or just because you felt like it?
Nobody read it. It's actually just in a doc on his
Yeah.
machine.
Seriously.
He wrote it down in a little pad.
I
by
read
his
it and
computer.
weep slowly. No, I got paid. I got
Wrote it in
paid.
the instruction manual.
I got paid for
returned
it.
to the
I
video
got paid
store.
for it.
No, I used to do that when I was younger all the time. When I really liked the game, I would just like make a move list or a guide. Just
Yeah, and then try to
Because-
show it to someone, and they're like, I don't care.
Dude, I
Check
made
out Vince's sweet moves.
I invented so many fake fatalities and wrote them in the section of Mortal Kombat at the video store.
I was the nerd that literally went on the internet and like found all the information on move lists for like X-Men Children of the Atom, and then just brought a printout of it to the arcade, and I was just like, yeah.
You were that guy.
I was that guy. Hey, oh, you don't need a move here. I got it.
There was a
Be
kid in
my
my
friend,
school
please.
who would do that for us, but charge 10 cents per printed page.
Oh my God! Why wasn't I him? Why wasn't I
He's an
him?
entrepreneurial.
I did something
devious
similar. I used to
SOB.
I used to play all those like square-based dungeon crawlers where you like walk by squares, and then I'd map out all the dungeons on graph paper
Sure.
Yep.
and just save them in case somebody played the game. And I'm like, here, you can find everything. I like
where the
mark
loot
chests
is.
with triangles. And, yeah.
You did to play some Dungeons of Dreadmore.
Yeah, I had the Beholder, stuff like that. But Legends of Grimrock
Grimrock. That's what I was thinking.
Yep.
came out a couple years ago.
Dreadmore's a different game. Yeah.
And then Grimrock 2
Yeah.
came out, I think a year after that, and they're both awesome. But
I can never get behind those games. The only game like that I ever remember
good.
playing, and this is like way off topic now, is there was a Game Boy game called Cosmo Tank.
Oh my god.
And it was like a top-down tank game, and you just shot bugs and other tanks and
Yeah.
stuff. And you get into a cave, and there were like interior sections like that.
Yeah.
It was so weird. I
Yeah.
didn't understand it, and I was just like, this is not for me.
What
This
Fantasy
guy's
Star
like-
1 Fantasy Star 1 was like that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
I remember that too. What I loved about him though is like it's not just the killing things in front of you or like turning or like sidestepping. It was just like all the puzzle stuff and like the riddles and the hints. Like there'd be this little secret, like one rock on a wall of thousands of walls. If you pressed it with your cursor, it would open something up, and there'd be a magical sword back there. And I'm like, I nerded out so hard over that stuff.
Hey, you guys want a real blast from the past? Remember when we were talking about BlizzCon?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Wow.
Wow.
So-
On
Wow.
blast.
Yeah. So let's wrap up that discussion. So
Yeah.
we can move on.
BlizzCon was great.
Awesome.
I mean, yeah, seriously, way off the beaten path there. It was cool, man. Like it's such a vibe to be around that fan base because they're so dedicated.
It is super electrifying.
And so passionate. Like I'm like I played World of Warcraft for years and all that, but I'm very what you would call a very middle of the road Blizzard fan. But being in there, I was super charged.
You're like, I need Legion now.
yeah, I know. I was like, I need to find all these Hearthstone cards around the arena because then I can turn them in and get this rare Hearthstone. And I've literally never played Hearthstone before.
What did it seem like the crowd was most excited about? But which of the
You
games?
know, we were talking about how like can Overwatch get a following or anything, but there were already people there. Like you should have heard when Jeff Kaplan came out on stage and was talking about Overwatch and the characters and the console packs. And by the way, my favorite part of that whole keynote was when he was like, "Hey, does anyone have an internet connection? No, you don't. Then I have some really exciting news for you." Like
was
just
really good.
owning the fact that the console news like got leaked the night before. It was great.
I thought they were making fun of the fact that StarCraft still requires an internet connection.
I thought they were saying that the service in the venue sucked.
Maybe all of the above.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you should have heard the crowd. I mean, I think World of Warcraft obviously got the lion's share of the applause. Like when they played that opening cinematic for Legion,
that
everyone
looked so much better than the actual movie.
the actual trailer. So, I mean, I liked the movie cinematic, but the game cinematic like had more character development in it than the movie did.
The movie. I don't know. It's so ridiculous to me. Like that they make these beautiful cinematics, and if they would just attach a good story to it, like I would totally watch
The
that.
whole time I'm thinking like, why not just make this an hour and a half long?
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing.
Just triple your in-house cinematics team.
Yeah.
And then make a movie, which is
It's probably not that much more expensive than making a movie.
sort of what Activision and Blizzard are doing now
That's
with
true. I
opening a
forgot
movie
about
studio.
that. The Call of
So,
Duty Cinematic Universe,
look-
y'all,
look-
coming soon.
God.
Look for your Call of Duty movie coming 2018, 2019.
Like a live action movie with so much CG in it that it looks like a cartoon anyway. It's like
Yeah.
why not just animate
Yeah,
it?
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, do you remember back when 300 came out, the trailers for it, and you could like see him talking to other characters, but they didn't really make eye contact. Like they were kind of like talking like this, like Mitch is right here, Dan's right here, and I'm talking to either one of you, but you don't really know which one. That's what I got with like Travis Fimmel in the trailer, right? Where he's like, if you're gonna do something, do it now, and I'm like, who are you talking to?
He's talking to a tennis ball and a stick.
Exactly,
Yes, exactly
like
what he's
25
talking
feet
to.
in the air. He's talking to a tennis ball, but. BlizzCon was great.
Awesome. Talking about Overwatch, I think that of all the hero shooters coming out, that's the one that is the most exciting to me. And
Yes.
there are a lot.
Yep.
There are quite a few.
At this point, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is a hero shooter.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the list is huge. I mean,
Sorry,
our
specialist shooter.
Should we define what hero shooter, specialist shooter, champion shooter, team-based objective shooters
character /
Special Olympics.
class-based shooter.
are? Yeah. So basically, like Team Fortress, right? Let's use
Yeah.
Team Fortress 2 as the
Team
metric
Fortress is the
stick.
blueprint. Yeah.
Yeah, where you
But then
have
blown up.
X amount of classes, but in this case, they're not really classes; they're more heroes.
Yeah, they're defined by characters who have individual abilities, etc., etc.
Somewhat like a shooter that is also a MOBA.
Yeah.
Wow, how about that?
Interesting. You take one genre that's super popular, that a certain genre
Yeah.
audience can't get behind, and then you fuse them together.
I mean, you're even seeing MOBA developers latch onto this. Like
Yeah.
IGN's free game of the month right now. We're giving away tons and tons of beta codes through Prime for Paladins,
Yep.
which is a really cool looking game that is very much inspired by games like High Res's Smite
Yeah.
and other hero-based, class-based games and TCGs. And it's sort of just taking like all this cool stuff going on right now and putting it in one game and going, here you go. And I don't know if that's enough to differentiate it from every other of the 30 hero-based whatevers that are coming out.
Because even the other really high-quality ones, it's like it's so hard to imagine how they're going to compete against Overwatch. Like,
let's rattle some off.
So-
Okay,
Sure.
so the storm is coming ashore. We've got
gigantic
so now we're splitting. Is gigantic a
hero shooter. Oh, absolutely.
I think that qualifies.
I think gigantic is more like Smite, like a third-person MOBA.
So if the hero shooter genre has like two sides of the spectrum, one is like all the way towards Team Fortress, and the other one is all the way towards a MOBA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like that's the two ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
Then like if here's Team Fortress and here's MOBA,
Gigantic
then
is smack in the
gigantic
middle.
is like pretty much smack in the middle, maybe even a little bit closer to the MOBA side.
Okay, and then the rest of them are a little closer
And then
to
like
TF2.
I feel like Overwatch is like maybe 2 steps off from the Team Fortress side.
Yeah.
It's like very
Okay.
close to that side.
So we've got Overwatch,
Paladins, as discussed.
Paladins as discussed, Battleborn
Battleborn.
to you from Gearbox and 2K,
Battlecry from Bethesda. And Warcry Studios.
Paradigm coming.
What is Paradigm?
I don't
I haven't
know.
heard of that.
Paradigm?
Is that it? It's
Paragon.
No,
Paragon.
it's
The
Paragon,
Epic Games
Paragon,
thing.
not
Paragon. The
Paradigm.
Epic
It's
Games.
definitely not
Like
Paradigm.
Epic Games.
The Epic Game. Oh, look at that. I got a special delivery.
Oh,
Thanks, Andrew.
That's Andrew Goldfarb.
It's Andrew
You're the best.
Goldfarb.
He also plays PC
Known
games.
PC gamer Andrew Goldfarb arriving with a Starbucks cup. Thank you.
Frequent Starbucks patron,
Delivery boy.
Oh my God.
right?
I needed that.
Yeah. seriously.
All right, let's continue.
Where, Paragon.
Paragon.
So we're at 5, and then there's a law one, right?
Oh, Lawbreakers.
Lawbreakers.
The Cliffy B. Boss Key Studios one that.
Bob blah blah
Previous-
Lawbreakers.
yeah.
Blah, blah's
And again,
Lawbreakers.
like I think I'm sort of divided on this. Like I think it's really great that we are seeing this cool new genre emerge in the same way that it was really great when like League and Dota were neck and neck, and we saw other MOBAs come out and try new things and not really work. But stuff like Smite coming out on top. I think this is healthy. I think it's good. You get a lot of new creative ideas going from really great, smart people. And stuff like Lawbreakers stands out as like, oh man, like this character has a really great mobility tool, and this one's got a really interesting weapon.
Yeah.
And everyone can like fire backward, which is really cool. And they introduce new systems to a known set of systems.
Yeah. Each
But
one has got their own little twist,
Yeah.
right? Their own little thumbprint.
But I worry that I'm already burning out on a genre that literally has no games out yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we.
Unless you count Call of Duty.
Right.
Well,
And TF2 going back that far. But
Yeah.
like of this new breed, there are so many that are in like beta and big
mean,
announcements are coming and their websites are getting hyped up by the PR. I'm just like, I just want to play Overwatch.
It's an interesting phenomenon because like so many developers seem to have latched onto a fad that didn't yet exist.
Right.
Yes.
And the same one, and somehow they all identified this as the way forward. Just by looking at MOBAs and looking at free-to-play shooters and saying,
That's-
hey, what if we mash that together? But the fact they all do it at the same time, I
And
mean, you got to wonder how much, like, what kind of cross-pollination there is there. Is it developers leaving one team and going to another? And
Or like
starting
at a
their own
cocktail
thing?
party, what are you working on? Well,
Right.
okay, get this.
Right.
Right.
And that's
But you have a gun.
yeah. Like,
Ooh, you too, huh?
yeah.
Oh
Like,
god.
a lot of those guys, talk somewhat, but like that's all trade secrets. Like that's the kind of thing you get fired for if you're
Sure.
if you're spilling that.
Seriously, within the last 2 months, I've interviewed 4 of the teams making them now, and I ask whoever I have the exact same question: like, why now? Why 2016? Why is this all coming ashore now? And they all kind of have the same answer: like, well, we looked at the market and we saw a niche that wasn't being filled. Right? Basically, somewhere between the shooters and the MOBA guys, like there's this hole.
Right.
And
Let's take these really interesting systems and make them accessible to the mass market.
Yeah, and everyone saw this hole and was like, we can fill that hole.
And it's a new
that's
it's a
what
new
you've
kind
seen.
of progression that hasn't been applied to the shooter genre yet. And like shooters are all about progression, except like it seems like the Call of Duty style progression has been mined to the to the very bottom. To what's the bottom of the Minecraft hole called again? Like
Oh God, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. That
Nether?
stone at the bottom, Netherstone. I'm embarrassing myself now, not knowing what that's called.
Seriously, there's a riot going on at home right now.
Ender? Is it the Ender?
Yeah, I don't know.
Is that a different thing?
Diamond?
I don't know.
There's
Hard
lava.
stuff that you can't break.
Lava.
The
There's definitely lava in there.
dirt hole? I don't know.
Anyway.
I haven't played Minecraft in
Yeah.
many
Bad
years.
place.
The
Yeah.
Unbreakables.
The bad place. I like that. Where were we? What were we
Bad
talking about?
touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But point is, the Call of Duty progression has kind of run its course. It's been done to death. So it is kind of logical that they would go and look at other kinds of progression and progression by buying new characters basically or acquiring new characters and merge that in.
But see, to me, that doesn't do anything. Like the specialists, and I enjoy playing with the specialists, and I think that the new weapons and the abilities and the choice of picking one at the start of a round, I think that actually adds something to it. But The progression of building my character and buying my guns and skins and all that is sort of what got me into that. If I was looking at this as like a career, like I want to start at
Like as a designer or a player?
no, as a player, like I
Okay.
want to start at first prestige and I want to get to the the finale of it. Like the specialist classes aren't really what's driving the progression for me. It's
No, and it becomes the problem of it's the difference between when I'm playing Overwatch. God, all these names just like in one folder in my hard drive in my brain.
Battlecry Watch.
Yeah, exactly. So if I'm playing Overwatch and I see someone like Zarya on the field, I know exactly what
Yeah.
that character means against me, for her team, for as an ally, whatever. Right? Like I can associate that character with her skills instantly, and it means something.
Yeah.
Versus Black Ops 3, where the skills are interesting and they're fun to use, but when I see Battery or whoever, I'm not like, oh, look out, here he comes. He's got the big skill.
But isn't
Yeah.
that as a result of you just having more familiarity with that?
No, it's because the character skills are interesting and fun to use, but not totally
But they're separated.
important to the flow of a Call of Duty.
They're separated from what that character loadout might actually have. Like I'll see a battery. I'll see one battery and two batteries, and one's got a sniper rifle, the other's got an AK-47. So the way I'm interacting with these two different batteries
Right, you're
are
very different.
Very, very
Versus
different.
someone like when I see Reaper, I know like, oh, if he closes the gap, I am screwed
Yeah.
because of the way his weapons work. Like
Right.
his skills are his weapons.
Yeah.
And that's how these characters work. Whereas Black Ops 3, and I really, really love that it did this, and I think that is a strength for that game. It's not quite as emphasized or underscored in the same way. Like it's cool to have the abilities, but ultimately, I'm worried about the guy with the shotgun.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, like that kind of this style of thing, and this is why I'm not really a MOBA guy, is that having to learn all of those kinds of characters before I can be effective is kind of a big barrier to entry for me. So
There's a learning curve, for
right?
sure.
So like my question for this is like how accessible are these shooters going to be? Are they going to be harder to get into than even something like Team Fortress, where you've got was it 9 classes? And it's like you have to learn what those classes can do.
Yeah.
And then
Jesus.
you're something.
There's a
something
literal jackhammer beneath
Yeah.
us as they do
You know that
construction
scene
on
from
third
Total
floor.
Recall where the drill is coming through the wall? I think that's
It's gonna
happening
happen
right
any
now.
moment.
Which one of us is about to betray the other?
Yeah, exactly.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal. Anyway, so yeah, is it going to be harder to get into than a typical class-based shooter where
Sure.
you just got to memorize, learn the basic idea behind a few different classes and account for variations?
and-
I think personally that it is going to be accessible only because what Mitch was saying about looking at Zarya on the other team and being like, okay, I know what Zarya does, I know what I have to be careful of, I know how I have to engage her. Like that is in Overwatch, I feel like that's what brings you from maybe a good player to a great player.
Right.
But to get from like a I've never played to a good player, I think is mostly picking an appropriate character for the game mode that you're playing and playing that character and competently
And
is,
putting the
Yeah.
cursor on the enemy when you pull
Yep.
your trigger.
And
Yeah.
ultimately, like the learning process, like MOBAs, but I think it's a little more digestible in a shooter. It's just osmosis. It's playing and learning and suffering for a little bit, but I don't like. I like that learning experience. I like going like, whoa, like what was that? That was awesome. How did I die? That
And
was
also-
great.
But there's a fair amount of that in any shooter. Any new
sure.
shooter you come to, it's like there's new stuff that you have to learn. It's just for me like it's kind of overwhelming. It's like, oh, there are like 25, 30 different
yeah, when
characters.
there's 20
It's like-
characters
well,
with 3
yeah, it's
different
like-
abilities,
yeah.
and they
Yeah.
all have passives that you don't understand.
Yeah, I've never seen that guy before. It's like I played 5 matches and I'm still seeing a guy I've never seen before killed me in a way I had no idea he could.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the nice things about Overwatch is that you can have a massive impact on your team without really worrying about the other team that much. Like support play
Right.
in Overwatch is what the big is. I think that of all the features that separate it out from the other games, as a support player in every MOBA that I play, like Overwatch's support play is really strong in that every one of the different support characters affects the battle in a wildly different way, and all your I feel like I'm playing a different game when I'm playing a support because all I'm thinking about is where my teammates are and what I can do for my teammates and what I can do in relation
Yep,
to my
it's
teammates.
like map awareness and character awareness as opposed to like I'm gonna get some kills.
Right, and I don't need to think about so I don't need to think so hard about oh my God, there's that character from the other team or there's that character from the other team. I've got to worry about what the situation for my team is, and the game actually incentivizes you to focus in that way. Like at the end of the game, there's always 4 different people who are shown as distinguished in different statistical categories, and like one of those categories is the percentage of the other team's damage that you
Yeah.
mitigated, or how there's even character specific stuff. Like there's one character, Symmetra, who can put up a teleporter that links directly to your spawn point, so that you can get your teammates who die back into the action that much faster. And like she can totally distinguish herself by just keeping that teleporter up a longer amount of time in the match. Like if you have a 50 or 60 or 70% uptime on your teleporter, people will commend you for that, and like you can be MVP for that.
And I do love that commend system, and where it's like, man, that enemy wrecked us.
Yeah.
And I respect that.
Yeah.
I'm going to nominate you for this.
For those that aren't in the beta or haven't seen it, at the end of the match, it'll pick 3 or 4 characters that performed really well in their role that they're playing, and then all the players on either team can vote for whoever they want. So,
and it's only positive. There's no thumbs down. It's only like, yep, thumbs up, you did good, plus
there's
you
no
get
thumbs down
you get a
button.
grade.
So even if you don't know what the other team's characters are all about, like if you're playing a healer, like Zenyatta, like who just puts like there's an orb on a teammate that heals them over time, and it stays there on them permanently until you switch it or die. Like I can literally just hang all the way back and just be like, you look like you need health now. Let me get an orb on you. Now you look like you need health. Let me get an orb on you.
Right.
I don't have to interface with the decision making of what do the other characters do, and I can still be a total rockstar.
Yeah, and you can just learn that way too, right? Like you can observe and notice, like, oh, I when I healed that person, they did this thing that I didn't know they could do, and now I've kind of soaked that.
And
also, Overwatch does a really good thing, real quick. Just when you die, it'll tell you why. Or if you had an opportunity to do something, the game is really, really brilliant about recognizing.
Oh my god, yeah, the hint
if you had
system
done
is
this,
so good.
you could synergize
totally
with this
forgot
other
about that.
character.
It's ridiculous. Like you'll get the kill cam that you get with like Call of Duty popularized it, but in addition to the kill cam, if you're with a character and you get wrecked by another character, the tip that you get will be specific to the situation in which you found yourself.
Like, hey,
Don't do that.
I noticed that McCree shot you in the face.
Yeah.
He's really good at that. Here's why.
So they've got Clippy in there.
Yeah, in a way,
they got a little
do.
bonsai buddy.
Yeah, there's a character that flies and shoots rockets a la Unreal Tournament, right? And when he inevitably hits you in the face with one of those rockets, because statistically it's just going to happen.
Because there's a lot of them.
The tooltip is like move in erratic things to make sure that move in erratic lines to make sure the rockets can't hit you. And it's like, well, it's kind of obvious, but it is
don't
very,
get shot.
Yeah.
very specific.
Just don't get shot. You'll be fine.
Or more.
So
Get good.
it sounds like all three of you guys think that Overwatch.
There we go.
So looking at Overclocked right there.
I know. I did
scrambling
that
my
when I was
brain.
making the show notes today.
Sounds like this is your clear pick for the leader of this pack.
And I think it might just be because we're playing it, but I think also it comes down to Blizzard and quality and polish. And
Those character designs.
who's thinking about Battleborn? Like, I think that game is really funny and imaginative. But
And I enjoy it. I liked what I played of it. But
we
gonna
played
play
5-on-5, and I had a blast.
I had a blast
with it.
doing
I had
it.
a blast with it.
I thought it was okay.
I've
I
really
think it's okay.
see. I think when you play with people you know, and especially against people you know, because we had a very controlled situation where we were 5-on-5 IGNers versus IGNers.
I was playing a PvE scenario. So.
right, yeah, the
okay.
PvE
Yeah.
I
I
agree
did
is
that
just
too.
okay.
The PvE is okay.
I totally agree with you.
I think that the PvP is really where it's at, and the abilities interacting with each other. But when you look at that, I had fun with that. When you look at Paladins, I've had a lot of fun with Paladins from Hi-Rez, and I think
play that.
as one of the smaller studios, I think it's kind of admirable what they're doing to the game. And we have Prime members, we have beta codes live right now. If you can get your hands on one, I suggest that you do.
I might give mine away on the show next week.
Are you?
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe we could probably get a handful to give away.
Maybe we get a couple of them and give them away.
Set up that damn email address, and we can get people to send us emails about it too.
Oh man. But I think when you look at all that stuff and you look at Overwatch, like just no one can outspend Blizzard when it comes to polish, when it comes to iteration, when it comes to polish.
and it's their artists. Like I have to say, like I'm 37. I've been playing games since I was a small child. I love games with my entire heart, but I've definitely noticed over the last 10
Just
years.
your heart, casual.
I've noticed over the last 10 years that like it gets tougher and tougher for me to feel emotional about new characters. To see a new character introduced or a new IP introduced and be like, oh my god, this is everything I've ever wanted, and I don't even know why, and I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
And the first time I saw the trailer for Overwatch, I had like tears in my eyes. I was like, this is beautiful, and like the art and
It was
the
like
tone.
a little film, and they
It
had
was.
it set up with these cute, adorable characters and like really big, larger-than-life personalities with Tracer and the gorilla whose name I always forget. I want to call him Maurice.
Winston.
I always want to call him Maurice because of Planet of the Apes.
But
Even though Maurice is an orangutan, it makes no sense.
just the character and the tone that they hit.
I mean, I think the word we're all thinking of is kind of Pixar-like, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Pixar-esque.
Sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But it's like all these characters, I feel like I feel like I know them already. I feel like they've existed in gaming for
I know
a
every
long
single
time
one of their
already.
names.
Yeah.
I know exactly. Me too. Every single name. I love Gigantic. So like Gigantic, I love that game. I can only remember the names of the 2 or 3 characters that I regularly play.
Oh,
and
there's
everyone else, I'm like,
Owly and Frogman and Ninja Rabbit, Sagio Jimbo
and
is in there.
Taito the
Jim.
Taito the Swift and Ashling are the only 2 characters whose names I remember, and the rest of them, because those are the ones I play, and I can't remember the rest of them. And same thing. And I mean, I played the same character, the same mushroom healer character in Battleborn for the entire 2 hours that we were playing it, and I still can't remember that character's name. But
I can't remember his name either.
But every single character in
She's the lady
Overwatch,
mushroom.
No, it's a he mushroom.
Oh, she's a she
I
mushroom.
think it's a she.
I think it's a man mushroom.
I think it doesn't matter.
I'm pretty sure mushrooms are androgynous.
I think it's
You
a
don't
man
know
shroom.
anything about mushroom biology,
Yeah.
man. As a mushroom biologist myself.
They reproduce by spores.
You need to keep your preconceived gender notions of mushrooms off.
But yeah, a week later, like after maybe 2 weeks of solidly playing the Overwatch beta, like they're all burned in my brain. I care about all of them. I love all of them. I'm a fan of all of them.
I want short films about all of them, like
Yep.
I did with TF2.
They're doing it. They're doing
Are
it.
they?
Yeah, they're doing it.
So excited about that. That's great.
That's another Team Fortress knockoff, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hey, meet the except now it's the backstory of Tracer or the backstory of
That's
Reaper.
great.
Wait.
Like when they were in Overwatch.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I mean the whole backstory of that is also really interesting as well. How like it's basically
Justice League, but
AI
retired.
or
They're actually it's kind of more like the Watchmen in a lot of ways.
Ooh, yeah.
Because they were this organization. I've read a little bit of this.
How much blue penis is there?
Not enough.
None. Literally none.
It's just like Watchmen.
But it's like it was this
What's a Will Smith movie with robots?
iRobot.
iRobot. It's iRobot, basically.
Oh.
They rise up, and then every country in the world has to defend themselves from it, and they all join this Overwatch organization.
Yes.
And then they fix it and they retire.
What happened? Yeah, what eventually happens is they come under fire as like being like either corrupt or too violent.
Who watches
And
the
there's
Watchmen?
Exactly. And there's this whole conspiracy theory that like kind of infiltrates Overwatch and screws them up and like brings them down basically from the inside and makes the
love
public
that.
hate them.
Incredibles.
And so they're forced into retirement.
I just love that the pre-order skins and the stuff you've seen in
Yeah.
promo imagery. There's like, I can't remember his name. I think it's like Mackenzie or whatever. The guy with the long blue trench coat. He's like the dashing hero with the gun.
Yeah.
And then the guy who plays in the game is like the
Soldier
old
76.
Guy. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
old guy.
It's the
like,
prequels. Like this is
Yeah.
leading back into the prequel story. Like Reaper, the dude with the shotguns and the death mask. He is. God, I can't remember his name. It's like Reyes or something. But his throwback skin is when he was just a soldier, just a dude in
before
Overwatch.
he got turned into Spawn.
They even do a lot with the storytelling with the existing characters and their costumes. Like for instance, like Winston, you were talking about. You know how he has those glasses on?
Yeah. Mhm.
He doesn't need them. He doesn't wear them because he has a vision problem. He wears them because even his name comes from the doctor. So like he was basically part of a Planet of the Apes
He
kind
was
of
Planet of the
experiment
Apes,
where they were like, and he exhibited like next level intelligence. Like they did all these experiments.
He's just
So
Caesar.
They
Yeah,
picked him as
trying to think
a
of his name.
special. Yes, no, he is Caesar. Except like the doctor who helped
James
him,
Franco.
whose name whose name was Winston, was killed by the other
Oh, okay.
by a lot of the other apes. So he took Winston's name, he wears his badge, and he wears his glasses in remembrance of his
Jesus.
father figure, basically, who raised him and gave
gonna
him all
cry.
the smarts he has.
Seriously.
Like,
So
I think
good.
that's awesome.
I love that.
So guys, I want to wrest control of the show from you.
Please do.
To do a brief closeout topic, which is
Let's do it.
Fallout 4 mods are starting to trickle out.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yep. But there are a couple of cool ones. There's one that kind of restores the Fallout 3 dialogue system, in that like instead of
That's
just
right.
the short little hints about what you might say, it's replaced with
It shows you the
full,
exact
full transcript.
Did
And
someone have to go in and write that dialogue?
No, it was all in text documents, so they were able
pulled
to
it.
So I'll probably
procedurally
just
do
write
that.
a script to pull out.
Yeah.
the
So
dialogue.
but it's all displayed, 1, 2, 3,
Science.
4 instead of the wheel now. So if you like that, you can get
I
that
love the
back.
wheel. I've always loved the wheel.
Me too.
Mass Effect, man.
I don't know.
Round.
I think when you're playing on PC and closer to the screen and you can read
Yeah,
more
yeah,
text,
yeah.
it's less
Good
of a
point.
problem. So I think I'll probably install that one. But my question to you guys is, your first time through a game, like I assume you guys have. I know you've all played at least some Fallout, but
Yep.
but I don't know if you started on PC yet.
No.
No.
But because we didn't have a whole lot of copies when you wanted
we
to
did
start.
not.
and it's
Or
hard-
time.
hard to switch yourself away. But when you do on PC, are you going to install mods?
If I see ones that are interesting to me, honestly, like as far as the one that shows all the speech, I'm actually not interested in that, only because I get what people's argument against the wheel is, but for me, I'm like it just is a matter of convenience and flow. Like, I don't want to sit there and read like literally. So for each one of those 4 choices, it's like 1 to 3 sentences. I'm like, I don't literally want to read a paragraph and a half or
so
2
much
paragraphs
more
of text for every single dialogue choice.
Me either.
If you can summarize the gist of what I'm going to say, then that's fine. And I'd rather hear it and have it acted than.
But I think that's what the wheel is. It's a happy medium between the full dialogue and like the Mass Effect system where it's a smiley face or a frowny
right,
face.
which is too much of
Or
an
a
abstraction
thumbs
for
up.
me. Yeah.
So Vince, you're more of a nude mod guy then.
Maybe. I don't know.
all right.
Strong.
I mean, who isn't a
strong.
nude mod guy?
Nude strong.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm down for that.
You know,
I think
when they introduced the Skyrim mod where it is just crabs with top hats, I'm all aboard.
I think
And they do have lots of Mirelurks that would look great in top hats.
That's true. That's true.
They just the other day updated the Nexus mod manager to work with Fallout 4, so it's basically a one-click procedure now.
Oh,
I think
cool.
mods is the only thing that would get me to go back to Fallout, which I've sort of abandoned just out of.
Yeah, you didn't love it.
No, I think the game has a lot of quality of life problems that mods mitigate. I
Sure.
was watching Brian Albert play on PC, and he had like a power armor with 99 power cores in it that just weren't depleting.
Yeah, he had used console commands for that.
Yeah, which that's true too.
But you
it's-
could do it with the mod.
But it's stuff like that, right? Like the idea of those kinds of things that make the game better, and that's what mods are for, is to just give you a different or better experience. I love that, and I think that that's the way that would get me to get back into Fallout.
Are any of you going to turn off encumbrance?
No, definitely not. No way.
Yeah,
I would absolutely do that.
No, I was always the purist. Like when GTA 3
I
was
think it's a
out,
great system, though.
when GTA 3 was out, I had a friend who would always do the like unlimited weapons, all weapons cheat, and I was just like, that takes the fun out of it. You know?
Limitation
Yeah.
is the seat of my enjoyment.
Yeah.
Like working
Well,
within
the
those
thing with,
limitations.
like watching Brian play and watching him like crouch and become invisible and run around at double speed. It's like this is fun.
Those are mostly upgrades you can get for the power armor.
Yeah.
Right, it's like permanent stealth boy basically.
Right. Well, when you're crouching. Yeah.
But
When you're
stuff
crouching.
like that, like I watched this super powered version of this game, and I'm like, this would make it so much easier and convenient for me to play, but it robs it of the kind of tension that makes it great.
I'll tell you, right? I agree. I agree with you totally about that. One quality of life thing that I think would make me want to play on the PC, because I'm playing on PS4 and like I've got so many hours into it that I don't think I would realistically switch at this point. But
Yeah.
I gotta say, the interface for building and managing your stuff for building, if someone could solve the multifarious issues with that and make that less finicky and convey information more clearly, that would be like. So, for instance, I had to Google that. That's wonderful.
Sorry, yeah,
We're about to die.
I tried not to laugh to distract you, but that jackhammer is unbelievable. Sorry, carry on.
I had to Google that. That what do you call it? The switches and conduits are area of effect. You don't
really?
actually. Yes.
So
So
I had no idea. I didn't even really mess with that stuff because it's like, well, this is for like the Minecraft guys who are just going to tinker with this. And
So
make
you
crazy
attach
stuff.
a generator. You attach a generator by a wire to one of the
Yeah.
conduits. Then you place a conduit somewhere in a building.
Yeah.
And then its area of effect around that supplies power.
With power.
But what that area of effect is, you can't see. There's
Yeah,
no
well,
visual
I put,
indication
I
of
put
it
a
at
disco
all.
light in a building, and I put the power source in the outside wall because it wouldn't fit on the inside.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh cool, I'll put a disco ball in here, that'll be fun. But it was like sort of like inside middle left because it wouldn't fit in the center because
Yeah.
the AOE was too far. Like
Well, let me tell you
on,
though,
mate.
it might be worth your time to switch to PC just for the load times alone. You'll make up a lot of lost ground that way.
Sure. Yeah. No, the load times
Seriously.
are pretty serious.
No, I think I'm gonna do I'm gonna play it on the console I've already started on, and then in 6 months I'm going to download all the mods that make it friggin' beautiful.
Yup.
Like come back and just see like
the better lighting mods and the higher texture mods.
the better water, like the reflection.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've already got better water mods. They got better
yeah.
blood splatter. They've
because the
got
water
Nice.
is rough. Like,
Is
it?
Yeah, it's really rough.
They've got more realistic eyeballs. It's the initial wave of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see what they're doing first. And I'm actually really impressed that dialogue mod was one of the first things to come along.
God bless you, PC
I,
gaming
I was
community.
I was on Reddit the other day, and they were like, the modding community has already dedicated themselves to fixing the most outrageous, glaring oversight by Bethesda. Is the fact that you can't pet dog meat or like,
Yeah, what?
like, tell him good job. You can only give him commands.
can do it in
can't
Metal
be like,
Gear.
And you
"Nice
can't
job."
make him poop like you can make the Metal Gear.
That's true.
Yeah,
Or
that's true.
horses.
That's right.
Gotta
Yeah.
get that upgrade though.
That dog meat poop mod.
Good old
going.
dog meat.
Dog meat poop. Dog poop meat.
Where's the modifier in that phrase?
Oh, you know what was really cool? I saw a tip the other day. It's like you can use HTML markup in your item names, so you can like italicize parts of your.
Oh, that's
weapon.
cool.
Oh, cool.
Even on
it's
console?
yeah, I think.
You'd probably have to just manually type it out, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Yep.
Little caret M.
Interesting.
I wonder how
Little
the
carrot.
robot would pronounce it though.
Ooh, yeah.
Wait, would he put emphasis on it? How
Yeah.
sick would that be? He put it in italics.
Welcome, George.
I don't know if you can do it to your name. Though you might be able to. You rarely see your name
Things to
written
investigate.
anywhere.
That's true. We're running a bit long. We should get out of here.
Yeah.
Everybody, what are you working on? Dan, what are you working on?
What am I working on? I just replaced the power supply on my PC. I was working on that because I couldn't turn my PC on. I had left my PC on for like a month because it was not turning on, and like I finally got it to turn on. I'm like, I'm just gonna leave it on. And then I had to turn the power off in my house, and so I couldn't turn it back on. So I'm like, oh crap, I gotta get a new power supply. So I went on Amazon, ordered one at like 7:30 at night. And then at 7 a.m. it was on my doorstep.
Nice.
Whoa!
Yeah, which was insane.
Is that
That's
the,
the
is that the
best.
Amazon Now thing?
No, it was just the free 1-day shipping.
It had to be like a local delivery then, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
they must have shipped it from
It's literally
around
just
the
a drone.
corner.
You
Yeah, they
literally
must
just
have-
got drone striked in the middle of the night.
They must
a
have-
box just lobbed at your front
Your
door.
next door neighbor just like gives you his.
They must have had it in a local warehouse or something. But
Yeah.
anyway, I guess my next thing is going to be Just Cause 3. But,
Oh, nice. You on the review
Cool.
for that?
yes,
I am very interested about. I love Just Cause 2. Just Cause 3 seems super promising.
blow stuff up.
Yep. You can follow Dan on Twitter at Dan Stapleton. I am at Mitchie D. You can read my Star Wars Battlefront review on IGN right now.
yeah, that's good.
Read my feature about the 9 best stealth games, and listen to me as well on Podcast Unlocked and Podcast Beyond this week. Brandon,
I am reviewing a game I can't talk about right now, but
looks real fun.
suffice it to say, I am very tired.
Yeah.
And very tense and a little tired of reviewing said game. So hopefully I'm going to be wrapping that up soon, and then that will go up.
Hopefully, please.
At some point. We
Yeah,
can't
that will go up at some point.
At a nebulous point in the future.
That will go up at redacted.
Yeah.
Go up at still embargoed.
You can read on IGN between now and never. So I'm working on that. I just wrapped up BlizzCon stuff. A tons of a lot of email stuff that no one cares about, but just logistics, talking about stuff.
Filling out some riveting Google forms.
And just real hardcore into Excel right now.
Yep.
And
Everyone who thinks this job is glamorous, it is
Yeah.
at times. But
Yeah.
man, it is not just playing games.
I play video games about 2 hours a week. But no, I love it. So
Me too.
yeah, just about that. You can find me on Twitter at my name, Brandon Tyrell.
And you can find me on Twitter at Vincognito. That's Neato, not like my name, Nito. And I just wrapped the Hard West review, and if unless Dan Stapleton says otherwise and changes some things, that is actually miraculously my last review of the calendar
Oh,
you
year.
just
no
cursed
way.
yourself.
Yep.
You just cursed yourself.
You've got
You
6
just
weeks
begged
left.
for it.
You're a dead man.
What are you doing?
You should not have done that.
What
You're
were
a
you
dead man.
thinking?
So I'm probably going to spend the rest of the year helping Dan edit and organize the rest of the many reviews that are coming out over the course of the year. But
Thankfully, we're through the thick of it.
yeah, we are through the bulk of it at this point, which is
Now
nice.
we just get to sit back and enjoy them for the most part.
That's right. And for me, that's all about. Right now, I'm all about Overwatch. Right now, that's my crack. My goal is to start getting MVP awards and commendations using Zarya, because no matter what I do with her, even if I play really well, people don't seem to appreciate
It's
her
unbelievable because she is
contributions.
god tier.
'Cause she's
best character in the whole
so
game.
good.
Up
But-
there.
Best
for
character.
sure.
So good.
I guess you'll be able to see a lot of Vince's work in the upcoming Game of the Year nominations.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if I was allowed to
Yeah, I
talk
didn't
about
know either.
that. I was going to keep
we're
that to
going
myself.
to do them. That's no
Sure.
secret.
So I am kind of spearheading our best of 2015 efforts in the games department this year. So yeah, when you see that inevitably go up at some point, that's probably what I'll have spent most of my free time working on from now to then.
Nice. We'll be back next week a little earlier than usual because of Thanksgiving here in the U.S.
Right.
So TBD when the show will go live, but it'll go live before the usual Friday.